Hello. In this video, we are going to check a fast and efficient way to download Google Earth imagery in less than a minute in QGIS. The content of this lecture is, first, we go over how to download a single georeferenced high-resolution satellite image from Google. And second, we go over how to download multiple images covering a large area. And this is divided into separate small steps. First, you create a grid, then you download the tiles, and then you merge the tiles into a single image. So let's start by the simple one, which is download a single image. And in order to do that, you calculate the best scale, you prepare the print layout, and then you add the image. After that, you export the georeferenced JPEG file. Let's go over to the demo. So I started a new session of QGIS, and then I'm going to bring in Google Earth satellite imagery. So I go to Quick Map Services plugin, and then Google Satellite. So I have a bookmark set to cover the area of New Cairo. These are the new extensions of Cairo, Egypt. Let's assume that I would like to produce an image for Cairo Festival City. This is Cairo Festival City. So right now, as you can see, the scale is 1 to 15,000. Let's focus on the mall, the shopping mall. And let's produce a georeferenced satellite image for this shopping mall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a layout, Control P, and I'm going to call it A0 Cairo Festival City. Now I'm going to set the size of this page to A0 by right-clicking on the properties, page properties, and then setting the size to A0. And then I'm going to zoom to full so that I can see the whole page. And then I'm going to add the image. Now, this should display the image that I was just showing in the map viewer, which is Cairo Festival City. And you can see here that it sets the scale to 2129. I can always adjust it to, let's say, 2500 to have a well-rounded scale. So this is the 1 to 2500 image. And remember, this represents an A0 size plot. And now we are going to export to JPEG. Now there is a warning that comes here that some WMS servers have a limit for the width and height parameter. Printing layers from such servers may exceed this limit. If this is the case, the WMS layer will not be printed. Now, I don't want to see this anymore. It's not going to affect us in any way. I'm going to say close. The second warning that I get is that to create an image of so-and-so pixels requires about 418 megabytes of memory. Proceed. Yeah, I'm going to proceed. And I'm going to leave the default name, which is actually the name of the print layout. I'm going to click Save. Now, the most important thing is that I need to check the box next to Generate World File. This is the key to making sure that your image is georeferenced. I'm going to click Save. And it takes like 10 more seconds or so. Yep, it's ready. It's done, and you can see it here. Now, in order to check that it's done correctly, I'm going to start a new session of actually I can load it in the same session of QGIS. So I'm going to the window here, I'm going to switch off Google Satellite, and I'm going to load the image and its raster, and I'm going to pick it from the desktop. It's here, and as you can see, it generated the JPEG file and the GGW, and I'm going to click open and add and close. Now I'm going to add the layer CRS, and here it is. And look at the level of detail that we have achieved here. Now this is 1:949, which is very good. I mean, I could have produced it at a better resolution, but it's just an example. You can, of course, you can test. Okay, so we downloaded a single image at the best scale that we want. Now we are going to see how to calculate the best scale for a larger area. We prepared the print layout, we added the image, we exported the JPEG with the GGW referencing file. Now, what do we do if we wanted to load a much larger area, like the entire New Cairo? Obviously, we cannot use a single print layout. So what we need to do is we need to create a grid, calculate the grid tile dimensions, create a print layout, and then create an atlas, produce the tiles, and then merge the images into one image. Now, I give you that. It's not a 1 minute task. It will take a bit longer than 1 minute. But at the end, you are going to have a very good satellite image and georeferenced. So let's do that. So as I said, you want to create a very high resolution image of the entire New Cairo area, which is this is Cairo Ring Road, and this area is New Cairo. So let's do that. Let's create a grid. So we create a grid by going to the processing toolbox and typing grid, and it will show the commands that have grid in them. So one of them is called create grid. So I'm going to create a grid. But before creating a grid, let me go to the spreadsheet. And what we have here is, if we wanted the image to be 1:2500, we are going to calculate the width. Now, every centimeter in a 1:2500 scale image would equal 2,500 centimeters. So an A0 plot, which is the width of the A0 plot is 118.9, which means that the width in meters would be 2,972.5. If we wanted a better image, we would create 1:2500 image. In this case, the width of the A0 plot would be 1486 meters. So what we can do is we can create a grid of tiles with the width 1486. So I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to use the command create grid. And create grid first asks you about the grid type. So I'm going to say it's a rectangle, it's polygon rectangles. And grid extent, I'm going to pick the use current map canvas extent. So the current zoom will be used as the extent. And then horizontal spacing, this is where I'm going to use the value that I just picked from the spreadsheet, which is 1486. Now, that means I would like to have my image at 1250, 1:1250 scale, which is double the resolution that I had before. I'm going to use squares, so I'm going to give it the same vertical spacing. And I'm going to make sure that horizontal overlay is 0. I need the images to touch, not to overlap. Vertical overlay is 0 as well. I'm going to use the UTM zone 36 north, which is Kairos. And then I'm going to click run. So it created the grid. Let me just make it transparent and make this red. Okay, so this is the let me zoom to layer. This is the grid. Now obviously there are areas that I don't want to have because they are outside of my area of interest. So I'm going to actually make it editable and then start picking. So I'm going to delete all the rectangles that I don't want. This way I'm going to save some time in the processing. Okay, so now I have my area of interest. This one is barely touching, but it's okay. Let's produce a map atlas that at 1 to 1250 scale. So in order to do that, let me produce a new print layout, and I'm going to say A0 atlas. I have another one, so I'm going A0. So I'm going to call it A0 atlas. Okay. And again, I'm going to make the page properties at A0. Click. And I'm going to go to Atlas, generate an atlas. And the coverage layer, I'm going to pick the grid. And the image export format, I'm going to pick it as JPEG. Now I need to make sure that I'm using the proper projection. The other thing is I'm going to make it controlled by Atlas, say predefined scale. So this is the image. Now I want to do something very quick. I want to, well, first let me just save this one. And I'm going to uncheck it. I don't want it to appear. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Atlas, preview Atlas, and then I can navigate. Now, as you can see, we have 151 images. At 1250 scale. Yeah, so now I can jump between images. Once I'm happy with how it looks, now remember this is an A0 plot, so it's very high resolution, 1 to 1250. So the next step is to actually export these images. So how do we do that? We just export, and I've created a folder Atlas 1250, so I'm going to pick it and open and OK, and again I'm going to make sure to check generate world file, and I'm going to save. Now this is a lengthy procedure. It's going to take some time, so I'm going to stop recording and then get back when the images are completed. So now the atlas is complete. Let's go and check the images in the folder. So here are all the images. Let's start a new session of QGIS by clicking on the middle wheel. I'm going to set the EPSG to UTM zone 36, and then I'm going to grab the 151 images Okay, so now you can see all these images. Now let's check the resolution. Yeah, so basically if we type 1250, so this is the resolution that we have, which is very good. Actually, you could have went further, but this is a good, very good resolution, considering that this is an entire town. It's a very big area, covered by 151 images. Now, there is one last step in order to convert all these images into one image, which is merge. So we go to raster, miscellaneous, and merge. And what we are going to do is we are going to click select all, and then we go back, and we can save them into a temp file. Yeah, and then just run. The merge operation is finished. It took about 10 hours, so that's a bit too much, but we have 151 images to stitch. So I'm going to close this window, and let me do one simple change here. So we have all these layers. I'm going to actually switch them all off and then switch only this image. So now we have one image, and that image is so detailed. Obviously it takes some time. So you see the level of detail of this image. Let's check how large this image is. Let me see. Where did I place it? It's here. I guess it's this one. Image.tiff. Oh, so it's on other location. The temp TIFF. It's 38 gigabytes TIFF image. Obviously, if it would have been in JPEG format, it would have been less than a gigabyte, but it's uncompressed. So that was the exercise that I wanted to show you. So to wrap it up, we did produce an image in less than 1 minute, but that was a small image. Now, if we want to have an entire city at a very high resolution, I have demonstrated how we can go about doing that using the Atlas mapping, and then stitch all these images together or merge them using the merge tool in QGIS. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll have more videos coming soon.